Hi everyone, welcome to the channel uh, ServiceNow SIP. Today we'll talk about a new concept in ServiceNow, and that is data policy. Right? If you follow the series on this channel, you must have understanding of the UI policy. You also have gone through a business rule. If you have not, I will share the link for those in description of the videos. But today let's talk about data policy. The topic is not very big, but it solves very critical problem. Uh, that we face in day-to-day work, and mostly with the data integrated problem, right? So we want to create certain rules on data, and that can be easily which achieved using data policy without even writing the script for that, right? So let's uh, think about a use case, right? So I think you must have seen this form apply leave, where we have a simple form without any kind of validation in client side or service side, server side. We have a field called leave type, and we have a field called region, right? So what I want to achieve is when the leave type is personal, the region is mandatory. So if you see the UI, already I have a UI policy where if I change the leave type as a casual, you will not see that field itself appearing, right? So the UI policy I can show you. It's very simple. I have in the item configuration where I am making region mandatory for personal leave type, mandatory as well as visible, right? So that can be achieved, but what problem we have with this approach, right? So let's once submit the leave and then understand the problem. Let us give some date, start date as today, and end date as suppose anything. Fine. I'm giving leave type as a personal, region inventory. So I'll add something uh, uh like traveling. All right. I'll simply submit it. So it is working fine. The field was mandatory and I'm able to submit the leave. At the same time, if you try to submit without doing anything, you are not able to do it because there is mandatory validation in field level, in the form level, right? So uh, the previous record that we submitted will come and stay in a table called leave management system, because I think you must have gone through this. Like this is a record producer. Once submitted, it creates a record into this table, and you have seen that we have all the uh, field that we provided data with came and inserted into the table, right? So that's basically flow. But what the problem is, whatever validation we have, right, that we achieved here using the UI policy is only till the UI layer. Now, if remove the region also, it's allowing me to do it, right? So the validation was only happening at the form layer, not at the list layer. Not only that, if somebody is trying to submit the leave using REST API, or somebody trying to use it a glide record to insert data into table, whatever validation we wrote here will not be applicable to that, and that's a challenge, right? We want to achieve a data rule or integrity where if the leave type is personal, it must be having region, and we are not able to achieve it if leave is submitted through any other medium than the UI uh, record producer. And that's not right, because we want to create a system where leave can be applied via multiple medium, not only through this form. So what we have option. One way is like we can write the business rules to abort the action if something is not there. But again, it's a kind of more integrity. The the use of business rules is for different purpose altogether, right? To validate the business logic and all. So what we have is a very easy way to achieve this is called data policy. So how to do this? Let's come to the table. We have a menu called configure, and then you go data policies. If I go there, uh, I think I did already create something, so I'll remove that just to create something new. All right, let me write something new here, and this will be on which table that's automatically came because we came from table view itself. Now let's make it like region mandatory for personal leaves, right? All right. Now, what is the condition we have? We have a condition like if leave type is personal, then only we want to get this data policy applied. So if I save it, now we have to write the rule, and the rule will be something like that. Uh, Field name. So which field you want to make it mandatory? It's a region, right? So we'll choose here like a region mandatory true. So the condition is if the leave type is personal, the region field become mandatory. That's all the rule we have. Now, what the benefit we have is okay. One thing I don't explain. We had one checkbox called use as UI policy on client. If you check this, even validation will happen at the client layer also. Uh, Basically, I will recommend that whenever you create data policy, let's do check this checkbox also to maintain the integrity for the data, right? So now we have done it. Now this anyway we have UI policy. So if you try to do now, we'll have double layer validation, right? We have UI policy to make it mandatory and also data policy. So form layer, I think there is no much difference. We'll try to see if I remove the UI policy how it comes, but the earlier use case that was breaking for us when we did change record in a table itself, right? So we had a table, and what we did here is we we made it region mandatory. It allowed me, right? So let us submit a new leave now. Let's submit a new leave because we want to check it like how will we able to s- update the recorded table now. So uh, again, personal. Okay, something personal. I giving that without any reason. I submitting the leave. So leave is submitted. Perfect. So already I have some business rules flagged in the table. So that I think you must have seen in my previous sessions. What I will do is I will remove the record from this table for now, just to make sure that those rules are not enforced. But yeah, I'll try to submit once again. So that was coming from the business rule basically that you must have seen in my previous sessions. Okay. All right. So now if I submit it, it is submitted and we have a record in the table, right? So record with the region called personal. Before data policy, when I tried to remove this text from from this table, it was allowing me. Now, if I remove this, what happens? It is not allowing me to remove that because it is throwing exception called data policy exception that happening at the table layer, right? The following fields are mandatory region. So you cannot even update table list view. Not only that, if somebody try to inject a record into this table via any medium, maybe a glide record, maybe a REST API, it will not be allowed. And by doing a simple thing, data policy, we are maintaining the integrity of our data, right? So now let us suppose, let's remove the record just to test our use case. If I was telling that uh, now let's suppose we don't have UI policy, right? We have only data policy. In that case, how it helps? Let me see, is it really working in that way or not? So let me, we have apply leave, we have a data policy to make it mandatory. So let's remove that from the UI policy layer and we have suppose only data policy. Let's see how it helps. So in this case, I will not make the field. So we have a two UI policy action. I will write no, so we have to UI policy action. Will mandatory true, will remove that. So we are not restricting mandatory at the UI layer. Let us suppose that the form layer we don't have any validation for mandatory. Now how UI the data policy is serving us purpose, right? So let me give something leave and certain things. So region I'm giving it's not mandatory because we removed that UI policy. And if I submit, even in that case, it is showing me exception. So just by adding data policy, we are safe from all the angle now. right? Be it form view, we submit from form or list or glide or REST API, anything. So always it's highly recommended that whenever you want to create certain rules on data or any kind of validation like mandatory or variable, or even you want to achieve that, okay, if this field is coming, that field must be coming. Those all kinds of condition can be achieved using simple data policy uh, uh, at the table layer. Highly recommended. And at the same time, you don't need to write scripting for that. It's all configuration based and solving the bigger need. So this was a short video. We'll talk to some other interesting topic in the next session. Hope you are liking it. If yes, please like and subscribe the video for uh, getting more similar videos on different part of ServiceNow. Thank you, everyone.